Welcome, my YouTube channel, The Stoic Way. Have you ever wondered why people behave in one way and not another? Why emotions, instincts, and behaviours intertwine into a complex knot, sometimes creating predictable and sometimes completely unexpected reactions? What happens in the mind and body after intimate closeness? Why do women yearn for continued affection while men immediately fall asleep? Let's explore this phenomenon. A woman like a flower unfolding. Under the sun yearns for continued tenderness, affectionate words and sensual contact. A man at this moment resembles a weary traveller who curled up is already halfway into the realm of Morpheus hormones biology, nature, call it what you will. But the fact remains that after passion, each person goes their separate way. An interesting point is that women who are not afraid to be in touch with their bodies often have a higher level of sex hormones, which affects not only their sensuality, but also their overall level of sexual activity. Attention, gentlemen. Mutual understanding in bed is not about grand promises, but about the real ability to surprise your partner during intimacy. Elevated expectations are like a house of cards, any slight breeze, and there's disappointment. Now, let's figure out where myths end and science begins. We're used to thinking that female pleasure is a mystery known only to a select few. But what if the truth is much simpler, and our ideas about physiology are just stereotypes? It turns out that some women can reach the peak of pleasure solely through breast or clitoris stimulation. This is not a mystery of human physiology, but among all the wonders of our body, there is one amazing phenomenon. One of the organs that seems not to be subject to aging is the female body, which often outlives the male in terms of longevity. An interesting fact is that most women, contrary to myths, do not. Chase giant sizes average statistical parameters are more than enough for full satisfaction, and statistics show that about 80% of women prefer to test sexual compatibility. First logical, isn't it? But enough dry figures, let's get to real life. Female sexuality is like good wine. It only unfolds with age reaching the peak of its richness. Therefore, it's no surprise that women at certain periods in life become more inclined to fleeting connections and wild fantasies. And here's another interesting point. Women highly value when their non-verbal signals are understood, where they direct their gaze, play with their hair, change their distance. These are not just random movements, but a whole language worth learning now. To sensational facts, male testicles produce about 1,500 sperm with each heartbeat. Impressive. And here's another fact. The human brain can maintain friendly connections with about 150 people simultaneously. It's amazing how multifunctional our body is. And since we've already talked about men, here's an interesting observation. At first meetings, about 80% of men first notice the chest area, while women often unconsciously lick their lips when talking to someone they find sympathetic. A small life hack: couples who watch spicy movies together usually have a stronger bond and mutual trust. And since we're discussing intimate topics, let's touch on another important aspect. Smell. It plays a crucial role in arousal. Sometimes a light scent can awaken a real storm of emotions. And yes, that famous saying about "tell me who your friends are" works a man's company, says more about him than he does himself. Now, a bit of philosophy. Fear of death is essentially fear of life itself. Full existence excludes panic. Fear of the finale. Anger is a poison that primarily harms its carrier. And if you're going to argue, do it only with those capable of constructive dialogue, because arguing with someone whose intellect leaves much to be desired is just a path to nowhere. Moving on to even more interesting details. It turns out that romantic movies and songs can make a woman more receptive to love, and a man's mood is directly proportional to his attractiveness in the eyes of a woman and attention during ovulation. a woman is more inclined to risk and even infidelity biology. What can you do? A bit of amusing statistics. Women pay attention to their appearance much more than it seems. Yes, choosing an outfit is not just a way to impress a man, but a ritual dependent on many factors: mood, weather, depilation, schedule, menstrual cycle, and even the availability of necessary accessories. This is not just a habit, but a manifestation of subtle psychology. How we feel is how we present ourselves to the world. In a way, clothing is a language with which a person communicates their state, goals, and intentions. And if men mostly choose clothes based on comfort, women use them as a tool for self-expression. Interestingly, some studies show that the colour of clothing can unconsciously influence how its owner is perceived by others. Red evokes passion, blue, trust, black, respectability. Have you ever wondered why many people wear these colours to important events? And finally, about time. It's relative, especially in love. In the company of an attractive person, hours fly by unnoticed, but if you find yourself in unbearable company, every second feels like an eternity. Everything depends on perception. Therefore, choose the environment in which you want to linger longer. An interesting fact: psychologist research has shown that emotionally charged moments are remembered much longer than routine events. That's why the first meeting with someone special seems so long and years of relationships fly by in a flash. Our brain literally slows down or speeds up time depending on the strength of the emotion experienced. So if you want to remember a moment, invest as much emotion as possible into it. And if you've watched this episode to the end, you're clearly someone who wants to understand people and their subtle mechanisms. Congratulations! Now you know more about human psychology than 90% of those around you. Use this knowledge to better understand others, build relationships more effectively, and even predict people's reactions now, before we say goodbye. A small bonus, write in the comments what surprised you most in this episode. Maybe you'll recall an interesting case from life. Related to what we talked about today, let's discuss your opinion is valuable. And who knows, maybe your comment will become the basis for the next episode. So, subscribe to the channel, share this video with friends, and don't forget, there's much more interesting content ahead. Until next time.